Hey, shalom, everybody. Most High Christ bless. Officer Abraham here again, IUIC Raleigh, and we're going to continue on this journey on the biblical games of Thrones. All praises. All right, so I'm going to go right into it. So this is the Reign of David part 2. Let me get the thumbnail. Let me get the thumbnail real quick. So it says part 1, and that's fine. It's actually part 2. So if it's edited in post, then it's going to say part 2. So ignore what I'm saying. We can keep this as a part of the video. I want you to hear my originality. So anyways, yes, part 2 is what we're going into right now. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. So this is where we left off. I'm going to go through it now, right? We're starting to get into the good stuff. Watch. So David realized that Saul was put to death and Jonathan died in battle. That's where we left off. If you don't know what we're talking about, then go watch the other ones. So he died in battle. However, I need to go back to some chapters that I skipped on purpose so I can give some more understanding and imagery inside your head about it. So 1 Samuel, give me that 1 Samuel 19:4.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 19 and verse 4.
Now we're going to read to 6. I'm going to explain, then we're going to jump. Go ahead.
And Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul his father.
Right.
And said unto him, let not the king sin against his servant.
Against his servant, right? Go ahead. David, go ahead.
Against David.
Right.
Because he have not sinned against thee. And because his works have been to thee word very good.
So it's been very good to you. He's been a righteous man. Go ahead.
For he did put his life in his hand and slew the Philistines.
Right.
And the Lord wrought a great salvation for all Israel.
So he wrought a great salvation. So now he put the spirit on David to be able to kill Goliath. Right? Okay, good. Go ahead.
Thou sawest it and did rejoice. Wherefore, when wilt thou sin? Wherefore then wilt thou sin against innocent blood to slay David without a cause?
Read on.
And Saul hearkened unto the voice of Jonathan.
So Saul felt remorse from his son, and then he said, "What? Read."
And Saul swore.
And Saul sweared. Right. So he swore, "I'm not going to attack David. I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to kill him." So he's a liar. That's another sin that he has on him. He's a liar. Make sure you ain't got that on you. He's a liar. Watch. Go ahead. Read on.
And Saul swore, as the Lord liveth, he shall not be slain.
Now, let's see if he broke that swear. Jump to verse 8.
Verse 8.
We're going to read to 11. Go ahead.
And there was war again, and David went out and fought with the Philistines. And slew them
and slew them. Go ahead.
With a great slaughter. And they fled from him.
Now, I would have had photos for this, but for the, some of this I had to put together. Some of this I had to stream it, line it back together with original content that I had. So you ain't going to have the photos for this. But I have the photos for the other parts that I'm bringing out in a second. So just watch. Go ahead.
And slew them with a great slaughter, and they fled from him. And the evil spirit from the Lord was upon Saul.
Right.
As he sat in his house with a javelin in his hand.
Right.
And David played with his hand. And Saul sought to smite David, even to the wall with the javelin.
So he already broke his promise. Just a few verses later, Saul was full of it. Go ahead.
But he slipped away out of Saul's presence.
Right.
And he smote the javelin into the wall. And David fled and escaped that night.
So he had slung that thing, and then the javelin went all the way to the wall and then broke through the brick. So he was like, okay, or the stone. And so he was like, there's but a step between me and death. That's what David says in, I think, the previous chapter or 2 or forward. So go ahead. Watch this. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Saul also sent messengers unto David's house to watch him and to slay him in the morning.
And to kill him in the morning. Go ahead.
And Michal, David's wife, told him, saying, if thou save not thy life tonight, tomorrow thou shalt be slain.
Okay, so he was like, if he didn't save his life, tomorrow he would be slain, because David's life was in jeopardy by Saul. David's life was in jeopardy by Saul. So again, biblical Game of Thrones, right? The thing is, we're trying to see what is it that he felt, or during the time when we had our kingdom, the journey that the kings or the upper echelon of Israel had to deal with in there, and the spirits they battled with, right? Which is what we're going over. And now all of the stuff that's being brought out, it might slip past you to be like, oh, okay, you start to get into the whole reenactment of things that's going on. But just be mindful about this one thing here. a lot of us deal with the same things that they dealt with back then, except we're not all the way up there like they are. We're on this level, and we deal with those similar things. We go out of our way to put our brothers in harm's way. We falsely swear and then don't follow after that surety. We go to our brothers. They deal with us, correct us, right? Like what David did to Saul, correct us. And then we're like, okay, yeah, we hearken into it. Only to go right back and be a hypocrite to the correction we just got. Saul was guilty of all of that. Likewise, we shouldn't be. So, that being said, let's see some more stuff. Hey, Samuel all the way to 2 Chronicles, this is all drama. I'm going to just be honest with you. All of it. Go to 1 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 31.
1 Samuel, chapter 20 and verse 31.
Come on.
For as long as the son of Jesse liveth upon the ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom.
So he was talking to his son Jonathan. He was like, if he lives, you won't get your kingdom. If he lives. Now, one of the guys that was at the table with him was his captain, Abner. Abner, we're going to get to him. Abner was something else. Abner and his other son that, he didn't die along with the other sons that Saul had, Ishbosheth. We're going to get to him in a second. So he said, as long as David lives, your kingdom can't be set up. So I need him out the way. Jonathan wasn't trying to hear that. Watch, go ahead, read on. We're going to read to verse 34. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, for he surely shall die.
He surely shall die.
He shall surely die.
Go ahead.
And Jonathan answered Saul, his father, and said unto him, wherefore shall he be slain? What have he done?
What does he do? What did he do? Go ahead.
And Saul cast a javelin at him.
So he tried to kill his own son.
To smite him.
So now his envy and jealousy over another man, over position, he turned not only against his own brother, but then he went against his own family. They have brothers and sisters that deal with that same thing that Saul had on him. So that's why I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but I could tell from the previous 2 classes that Saul had a whole bunch to go through. There's a lot to dig into with this. Most of what I wanted to get into was from David forward, so that's why we're into the reign of David now. But I had to put these points in there. Go ahead, read on.
And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David.
So he knew by him trying to get at Jonathan. Jonathan knew by his father trying to kill him. He's like, I know if you're trying to kill me, I know you're trying to get David. So let me just go ahead and warn David. Read.
So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger.
Fierce anger. He stormed up, he got up, then walked out. Go ahead.
And did eat no meat the 2nd day of the month. For he was grieved for David.
Right, he was grieved for David because they was trying to put him to death. Go ahead.
Because his father had done him shame.
Right, so Saul tries to kill his own son. And this was all brought out in part 1. So, just go back to that, right? Now, chapter 21, verse 5. We're going to read 5 to 7.
1 Samuel chapter 21 and verse 5.
I'm trying to get all of the meat off the bone. Go ahead.
And David answered the priest and said unto him, of a truth, women have been kept from us about these 3 days.
So this was when, let me get his name. Hold on. Ahimelech. Ahimelech. So this is when Ahimelech the priest had helped David when he was being persecuted. So go ahead, read on.
Since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common.
Right.
Yea, though it was sanctified this day in a vessel.
I brought this on the previous class. Go ahead.
So the priest gave him hallowed bread.
Right.
For there was no bread but the shewbread.
Right.
That was taken from before the Lord to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away.
Read on.
Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained by the Lord.
So now, hold. This is the part that I missed.
Detained before the Lord.
This was the part that I missed last time when I brought it out. There was a certain man that was detained, so he was in jail. He was a captive, right? And this man saw David. Watch, read on.
Yes, sir.
Now a certain man.
Yes, sir. Dang, can't find it.
Come on. Now a certain man, 21 and 7.
21 verse 7. Now a certain man of the servant of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord. And his name was Doeg, an Edomite.
Doeg, an Edomite, was in jail. So he witnessed David go towards Ahimelech and go in there to get the stuff out, the bread and the spear that was Goliath's. Go ahead.
The chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul.
That belonged to Saul. So, okay, now he was detained with them for a moment, but he was one of the chief men. That Edomite was a chief man. Go to chapter 22 now. 22, we're going to read 1 to 8.
1 Samuel chapter 22 and verse 1.
So y'all get my photo ready. The first one I'm gonna get is Adullam, but we ain't gonna get it yet. Hold on, let me see. No, yeah, we all about to get it. Read this.
David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam.
So he came to the cave Adullam or Adullam. Finish the verse out.
And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him.
So when all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him. So Adullam. Let's get the definition for that real quick. Let's get the definition for Adullam. So if y'all go to the PowerPoint that I had, has that as the first image. I made it easy for y'all. Go to that PowerPoint. That was the first image. Let's go. All right, Adullam. So it's that bottom part. Zoom it in for me on my screen. Bring it bigger on my screen so I can see it. All right, go ahead. Apply. It's Adullam, that bottom one.
Adullam, retreat, refuge.
So it's retreat or refuge, a city where you can retreat to or seek refuge in. Adullam, right? Go ahead.
A city in the Cephala or low country.
Or the low country, or in Shephelah in the low country. So that's the lower part of, it's going to say it. Go ahead.
Between the hill country of Judah and the sea.
And the sea, read.
13 miles southwest of Bethlehem. Very ancient.
So now it was on the lower part of the tribe of Judah's land near the sea, right? Next page, read. The seat.
The seat of one of the 31 petty kings smitten by Joshua.
Read.
Fortified by Rehoboam.
Pause. All right, so again, there's some stuff. If y'all been following along, there's some things that when we read it, you see that it happens. I'm making mention of things that's happening after the split. You see names like Rehoboam that came out, Josiah that came out, and I didn't get that yet. But all of these are going to play in part, and you got to remember these parts because once we do get there, all of it's going to start tying together about what they're doing. This is like the groundwork of the stuff that's going to happen later. This is the groundwork of the stuff that's going to happen later. So this city, right here, Adullam, was fortified. Remember this right here. Save this in your notes. It was fortified by Rehoboam. That city right there is also, which I'm gonna get to later on in some of the classes within the series. That city, after the split, he made sure he made that city a fortification against Jeroboam, because they knew that was a city that people retreated to. So it was a military tactic Rehoboam used when they was at war. We're gonna get there. Read on.
Called for its beauty, the glory of Israel.
Called for its beauty, glory of Israel. Go ahead.
Reoccupied on the return of the Babylon exile.
All right. So now that was during the time. We're gonna get there. So, anyways, let's continue to read. Where we at?
Yes, sir. 1 Samuel chapter 22 and verse 1.
Right, verse 1.
David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam. And when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down thither to him.
So now they went to Adullam, and that was the fortified. It wasn't fortified yet. I'm sorry. That was the retreat or the refuge city he had fled to. Go ahead.
And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt.
Everyone that was in debt.
And everyone that was discontented.
And because they were discontented because the split that was going on between David and Saul. So it wasn't a split of the kingdom. There was just confusion within the nation at the time because they saw that Saul had a problem with his seat about to be taken by David. So there was that Game of Thrones that was being played there. They had this lot of people that was trying to follow David because they knew that this man, he has a good way with him. Whereas Saul, they're seeing this guy that's vainglorious of Abner, he's starting to be over there. His sons is slow. And then he have a white guy, Edomite, be one of his chief captains. They was like, we can't follow this, but they had the tribe of Benjamin that wanted to. Read on.
Gathered themselves unto him, and he became a captain over them.
He became a captain over them.
And there were with him about 400 men.
There was about 400 men that came with him. Now, within that 400 was his mighty men. I'm waiting for that one. That's coming soon. I'm going to go into that mighty men. Within that 400 was his mighty men. But we're going to get there. Come on.
And David went thence to Mizpah of
He
Moab.
went to Mizpah of Moab. Go ahead.
And he said unto the king of Moab, let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth and be with you.
Read.
Till I know what God will do for me.
Read a little faster.
Yes, sir. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him all the while that David was in the hold.
Right, so he was in the hold within the kingdom of Moab. Go ahead.
And the prophet Gad said unto David, abide not in the hold, depart and get thee into the land of Judah.
Right.
Then David departed and came into the forest of Hareth.
So he was traveling. When he went from Adullam, he went to the forest of Hareth. There was a lot of travelings between the forests and deserts that he was traveling in the midst of. So he was going on border towns. So he was traveling in between border towns, and then now he's in the forest of Hareth. Go ahead.
When Saul heard that David was discovered, and the men that were with him, now Saul abode in Gibeah under the tree in Ramah.
In Ramah, go ahead.
Having his spear in his hand.
So, go ahead.
And all his servants were standing about him.
Read.
Then Saul said unto his servants that stood about him, hear now, ye Benjamites.
Ye Benjamites, Saul said. Go ahead.
Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards?
So now that's why he's stirring up the Benjamites, because he wanted, if anybody else, he wanted the Benjamites to be on his side to follow with him to go and conquer David, so that way Benjamin can have that seat. That's what he wanted. But he was like, do you want another tribe to do it? So it's like a civil war going on right now. Go ahead.
And make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds?
So you want to take this Judite's gift? Go ahead.
That all of you have conspired against me.
Go ahead.
And there is none that sheweth me that my son have made a league with the son of Jesse.
Talking about Jonathan. Go ahead.
And there is none of you that is sorry for me.
There's nobody that cares about my estate. Y'all all worried about David. Go ahead.
Or showeth unto me that my son have stirred up my servant against me to lie in wait as at this day.
To lie in wait as at this day. Interesting stuff right there, I tell you. All right, watch. Come on. We're going to go to, let's see. I didn't have the image of Hareth. Give me 1 Samuel 22 and 20. So go to jump to verse 20 to 23.
1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 20.
And get my definition for Abiathar ready. So read that.
And the sons of Ahimelech, the sons of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David.
Right.
And Abiathar showed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priests.
So Abiathar showed David that Saul slayed the priests. Really, the sword because Saul gave the commandment and the Edomite attacked. So David got that information from Abiathar and said, okay, all right. So he was sorry about that. But he was like, you know what, we're going to get some get back. Some ways the Lord going to get some get back. Come on.
And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul.
So the Doeg the Edomite was there, meaning when he was over there and he escaped towards Ahimelech, what we read in the previous 2 chapters, that's when Doeg saw him. That same one went to Saul after he got from his detainment and then told Saul. Saul killed the priest that was in the city of Nob, and then boom. There you go. So now that whole little thing had happened. So you gotta imagine, he was on his journey. He went to Ahimelech, got the showbread, and got the spear. What's his name? Doeg. He wound up getting free from his detainment, went back to Saul, right? Went back to Saul and then told him everything. Once Saul had found out the location of where Ahimelech was, he was like, okay, he's over here by Hareth and so on and so forth. You know what? The city of Nob is not too far from his journey. Went to Nob. Then went and killed all the priests, and Abiathar had slipped away and then went toward David and told him everything. David already perceived, because he saw out the corner of his eye, he was like, that was Doeg the Edomite, the chief man among Saul. I know that's the reason why all of the priests in Nob had got killed, because of that Edomite right there. So read on.
I have occasioned the death of all the persons of thy father's house. Abide thou with me, fear not, for he that seeketh my life seeketh thy life.
He that seeks my life is now seeking yours. So if you following after me, then you will be killed if you follow after me. However, go ahead.
But with me thou shalt be in safeguard.
However, if you do stay with me, you'll be in safeguard. You're not going to die.
Right.
So now, give me the definition, Abiathar. That's what I want. And then hold 1 Samuel 23 and 6. So we right there. Now, Abiathar, read that.
Let's go. Abiathar. Father of abundance.
Father of abundance. Go ahead.
The son of Ahimelech.
Read.
The high priest, who with 84 priests was slain by Saul at Nob. On Doeg's telling the king that Ahimelech had inquired of the Lord for David, and had given him the shewbread and the sword of Goliath.
And the sword of Goliath. I said spear, so sword. Yes, go ahead. That's correct, though. Go ahead.
Abiathar escaped. Abiathar escaped, bringing the ephod with him, and joined David.
So he brought the ephod with him and joined David. So he brought the blessings with him and joined David. So that was another way how you can see that the blessings had departed away from Saul and that it was starting to follow with David. So go ahead.
Abiathar rendered David's loyal service during Absalom's rebellion.
That's another one. That's another thing to know, because that's another name that we keep coming across. We come across Rehoboam, we come across Ahimelech, we come across Absalom. That's another one. Abiathar, because right now he's in safeguard with David, but later on he rendered David loyal service during Absalom's rebellion, one of his sons. Right now, Abiathar is Absalom would be a young man, because I believe he already was born. We went through that. No, that's 2 Samuel chapter 2 or 3 when we get into that his names. So he'll be a young man all the way up until the rebellion. That's when Abiathar now renders service to David when Absalom rebels from what David did. But go ahead, read on.
But he joined Adonijah.
But Abiathar, who now helped David against his son's rebellion, goes to the other son who tried to take the kingdom from Solomon. So, hey, that again, the musical chairs, they trying to figure out who gonna get that power, who gonna get, like in the actual show, the Iron Throne. I want the Iron Throne. Those of y'all who watch Game of Thrones. Right. They want who wants the throne. So now Adonijah tried to take the seat because he saw a lot of power with it. He saw the women loved it. He saw the men honored it. He saw the priests gave honor to him. He saw the riches that came in. He was like, I need this. Adonijah tried to go underhanded. But before all of that happens, there was a time where the split was about to happen before Rehoboam split it. We're going to get to that in a second. That's happening on this class. I'm going to show you. Read on. Go back to the previous image. What you doing? Go back to the previous image. So now, finish the bottom part again.
But he joined Adonijah when the latter sought to.
Next, for him. Okay.
Seize the throne from Solomon.
Seize the throne from Solomon. Read.
Jesus refers to Abiathar in Mark 2:26.
All right. So, interesting stuff there. Go to 1 Samuel 23:6.
1 Samuel chapter 23 and verse 6.
This is just proof that the ephod went with Abiathar. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David in Keilah, that he came down with an ephod in his hand.
So now, Keilah, give me, now in the same chapter in 23, jump up, and we're going to read from 1 to 5. Now, give me the image of Keilah. I have two images in particular that I want. I just want the first one, though, not the second one. Go on the PowerPoint. Go in the PowerPoint. I put it in there. Try not to get too distracted. Go in the PowerPoint. All right, boom, right there. That first one, number 5. All right, stay right there. Put me up and do picture in picture. Do picture in picture real quick. All right, good, excellent. All right, so they went to Keilah, right? This is Keilah right here. So it was a gated city. It had gates and whatnot, and it was a fortified city. So now they went to Keilah, right? Keep it up, picture in picture, just like that. Start at verse 1 now.
1 Samuel chapter 23 and verse 1. Then they told David, saying, behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah.
So they fight against Keilah. So they went against the gates over in Keilah, because, it's a mountainous ranges over there. Go ahead.
And they robbed the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying,
read.
Shall I go and smite these Philistines?
Shall I go and smite the Philistines that came to war at Keilah? Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto David,
read.
Go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah.
Now give me the next image, number 6. Now the fight is about to begin. Within the gates, now things about to get rocking. Go ahead.
And David's men said unto him,
read.
Behold, we be afraid here in Judah.
We be afraid here in Judah. Go ahead.
How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines?
Then what David said, go ahead.
And David inquired of the Lord yet again.
Go ahead.
And the Lord answered him and said, Arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand.
So this is fighting that's going on here. Watch, go ahead.
So David and his men went to Keilah.
So now they went into the gated city. That's perfect timing. I like that. They went into the city now, and it was like, now it's time to get it on. Go ahead.
and fought with the Philistines.
Read.
And brought away their cattle and smote them with a great slaughter.
And smote them with a great slaughter. So they went into that city, that big city, and then wound up taking it from them. That's what they did. So now, give me the next image. That's what they did. They was up in there fighting, and there was only one way in and one way out. Right. So it was a gated city, but there was an entrance that was mainly made for entrance between their warriors. And they went into that gated city, and then they took it. Good stuff right there. Jump down to verse 14.
Verse 14. And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds.
So now he abode in the wilderness of Ziph. That's the wilderness he went to. Go ahead.
In strongholds, and remained in the mountain in the wilderness of Ziph.
So now, matter of fact, hold on. 1 second. No, go ahead. Continue to read.
And Saul sought him every day, but God delivered him not into his hand.
But he delivered him not into his hand. Read.
And David saw that Saul was come to seek his life. And David was in the wilderness of Ziph in a wood.
So he was in the wilderness of Ziph in the woods. So he was in the woods. No, I don't need that yet. That's not what I need. Go ahead. You're jumping the gun. Go ahead.
And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood and strengthened his hand in God.
Read.
And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee.
So Saul, his hand won't find you. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be king over Israel.
He said, thou shalt be king over Israel. Where you at?
Verse 17.
Read on.
And I shall be next unto thee, and that also Saul my father knoweth.
Read.
And they two made a covenant before the Lord. And David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house.
So now he was in Ziph. So now he's about to travel even further. Now get my image ready. Don't pull it up yet, though, until we finish the verse. Read verse 19.
Then came up the Ziphites to Saul to Gibeah.
So now the Ziphites came up now. Go ahead.
Saying, doth not David hide himself with us in the strongholds in the wood?
Because Ziph was one of the fortifications that was in the woods that you can hide in, but it was made to be a trap for other enemies to come against. Go ahead.
In the hill of Keilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon.
So now on the south of Jeshimon, I have two photos for it. So Jeshimon, give me the photos. No, you're right. Just give me those photos. That's one. So now Jeshimon, next image. All right, so he went to so now he was traveling through to Jeshimon, right? The only thing is on these images, it shows in the background, it's like canyons and whatnot, when really it should be a wilderness that's in the back with Hebron on the other side with a city and whatnot, but it was like a desert plain that they had to walk across. So give me the definition of Jeshimon. Well, they have Keilah first, so give me Keilah. That was the next one.
Learn today.
All right, so now it's the bottom one. It says a hill. Read that.
Keilah, a hill in the wilderness southeast of Hebron.
That's why it was supposed to be south. So if you see the image, AI can do but so much. It was supposed to be a city of Hebron in the background, southeast, and then it was supposed to be near Ziph, which was a wilderness. Go ahead. Near Ziph.
Ziph and Maon.
And Maon, that was another wilderness where David hid from Saul. I just finished it out. Where David hid from Saul. Give me Jeshimon, the next definition. That one's a little, can you read it?
Jeshimon.
Okay.
A waste, a desert.
A desert. Go ahead.
The word is often used as a common noun to refer to the desert of Sinai.
Okay, go ahead.
And it is usually translated desert.
Desert. Go
Sometimes.
ahead. Move the mouse. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sometimes it is used as a geographical term and probably refers to the two different districts. The
desert?
The desert in the Jordan Valley, northeast of the Dead Sea,
Read.
which was overlooked from Pisgah, the sterile plateau into the which David retreated before Saul.
Read.
Near Ziph and Maon, southeast of Hebron.
So go back to the photos again. So because you notice it said the plateau, and it was southeast of Hebron and Ziph. So that's why we have the images like that. It's just you don't see the city in the back on the wilderness. So that's why it's like that. So when he traveled, he went through these areas that was like that. So I know the imagery that's in your head sometimes about the land that we were at is sometimes flat, and it's like a city with a wall. But we had all of these ranges and mountainous and all this stuff that was around us that we had to travel through. Our land was beautiful. But he had traveled through all of these areas, these strongholds and some of these plains, so he can run from a man who was supposed to be on his side.
Right.
Where we at in the scripture?
Yes, sir.
We at verse 20? Yeah, 20.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. Now, therefore, O king, come down according to all thy desire of thy soul to come down. And our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand.
Read.
And Saul said, Blessed be ye of the Lord, for ye have compassion on me.
For ye have compassion on me. So now, it was talking about the Ziphites, but go ahead.
Go, I pray ye, prepare yet, and know and see his place where his haunt is.
So what it means haunt, it means a place that he frequents, but go ahead.
And who have seen him there? For it is told me that he dealeth very subtly.
So he deals very subtly. Because there was a time, which I think is the next, yes, it's the next chapter. He deals with the Philistines in such a way, that it was wise, and then he winds up fighting a battle for them. So he's like, this man, David, he's dealing subtly. The Lord's with him. I need to make sure I know where he's at, what he's doing. Go ahead.
See therefore, and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hideth himself.
So that would be Keilah, Ziph, which is in that wilderness, through the plain of Jeshimon, Moab the wilderness. Watch, just gonna get to that in a second. Go ahead.
And come ye again to me with the certainty.
Read.
And I will go with you, and it shall come to pass, if he be in the land, that I will search him out throughout all the thousands of Judah.
So he's going to make havoc of Judah and search him throughout all of them because he was king. He was like, I'm going to go through all of them and I'm going to find David. But remember, he had 400 people with him that was already rocking with him. So there was a lot of people that was on his side, and it was split between them two. And the kingdom was like, we like David, and another side was, we like Saul. Go ahead.
And they arose and went to Ziph before Saul.
Read.
But David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the plain on the south of Jeshimon.
So on the south of Jeshimon. That desert was surrounded by two to three wildernesses and the city of Hebron. Go ahead.
Right. Saul also and his men went to seek him, and they told David, wherefore he came down into a rock and abode in the wilderness of Maon.
Read.
And Saul heard that. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon.
Read.
And Saul went on this side of the mountain, and David and his men on that side of the mountain. And David made haste to get away for fear of Saul.
Right.
For Saul and his men compassed David, and his men round about to take them.
Read.
But there came a messenger unto Saul, saying, Hasty, and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land.
So now the Philistines invaded the land because Saul was so hot after David that he wound up letting go the fortification of the city that he was supposed to be protecting. So then he had to run away and go and deal with the Philistines that invaded the land. Read.
Wherefore Saul returned from pursuing after David,
right,
and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called the place Selahamath Lekoth.
Right, go ahead. So that means the rock of divisions. That's what it meant. So when David, where he hit at, right there, that's when he got the word that they was about to be invaded, or they was getting invaded by the Philistines. And from there, it became Selahamath, which just means the rock of divisions. Go ahead.
And David went up from thence and dwelt in the strongholds of En-gedi.
En-gedi or En-gedi, one of those. So now, chapter 24, verse 9.
1 Samuel chapter 24 and verse 9.
All right, come on.
And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words?
So now this is when David is getting into Saul. He checking the crap out of him. 9 to 15. Hold on, let me see. Hold on.
You're going to learn today.
Let me see something. Maybe. Yeah, read that, because there's another verse I have to read. I was going to skip it, but I'm not going to. 9 to 15. Read that.
And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord hath delivered thee today in mine hand in the cave.
Right.
And some bade me kill thee, but mine eyes spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth mine hand against my Lord.
Right.
For he is the Lord's anointed.
Saul, go ahead.
Moreover, my father, see the skirt of thy robe in mine hand.
Because he went into Saul's dwelling, where he was at, and he took the cloth and he took a spear. I believe that's this chapter right here. He took a cloth and he took a spear. Read.
For in that I cut off the skirt of thy robe and killed thee not, know thou and see that there is neither evil nor transgression in mine hand.
Right, because the same way that Saul was dealing with David, David refused to deal that same way with Saul. Go ahead.
And I have not sinned against thee.
Read.
Yet thou huntest my soul to take it.
So you hunt my soul and to take my soul. Go ahead.
The Lord.
So all of this plays inside when we read in the first part through Theocracy the Monarchy. I believe it was that one. That evil eye that Saul had for David, all of this that we had went through goes into behind that spirit of an evil eye. That all goes behind that spirit, an evil eye, which is mentioned inside the New Testament. So if you have that, best believe these spirits that Saul dealing with all through there is attached to you if you have an evil eye towards your brother. The lengths that Saul went to get David killed and failed. Read.
The Lord judged between me and thee, and the Lord avenged me of thee. But mine hand shall not be upon thee.
Come on.
As saith the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceedeth from the wicked, but mine hand shall not be upon thee.
So he said, wickedness proceed from the wicked. He talking about Saul. Go ahead.
After whom is the king of Israel come out?
Read.
After whom thou pursuest. After whom dost thou pursue?
Come on.
After a dead dog? After a flea?
So he's checking him. He's like, you who you think you fleeing? You coming after? A dead dog? A flea? Come on. Somebody small? He pretty much saying, no, you ain't chasing after nobody small, Saul. I'm a big deal out here. Go ahead.
The Lord therefore judge between me and thee.
Read.
And see and plead my cause and deliver me out of thine hand.
Which he wound up doing when Saul died.
Right.
So now Saul breaks the promise to kill David, right? And so I want you to jump to the next chapter and read 13 to 16. I was going to read 1 to 4. I ain't doing that. Go to 13 to 16. So he already breaks the promise to not kill David because Saul felt remorseful after he got checked by David. He said, all right, my son, I won't deal with you like that. Very next chapter, he winds up doing it. A chapter or two over. And then this happens. So go to chapter 26, verse 13 to 16.
1 Samuel chapter 26, verse 13.
Come on.
Then David went over to the other side and stood on the top of the hill afar off.
Read.
A great space being between them. And David cried to the people. And
so you got to imagine, so there was the camp where Saul was at, and then there was a hill way back there, right? And he was on top of that hill with some of his men, right? And then he just stood there with Saul's things, looking at the camp because he just had went there, and Saul didn't know it. So watch this. Now the conversation that we're reading here is between David and his man. Go ahead.
And David cried to the people and to Abner the son of Ner,
right,
saying.
So now he was talking to Abishai at first, but go ahead.
Saying, answer thou not Abner? Then Abner answered and said, who art thou that criest to the king? And David said to Abner, art thou not a valiant man?
So Abner, a valiant man. We're going to get to him in a second. Go ahead.
And who is like thee in Israel?
Because he was one of the best fighters in Israel at that time, outside of David. He was one of the best, most fiercest fighters. He was the captain underneath Saul. Go ahead.
Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy lord the king?
So he's like, how is it that you're the best fighter in all Israel, but I'm able to go inside of there and then take some things to show you that I could get Saul if I wanted him? How you the best? Look at this. Look at what I got. Go ahead.
For there came one of the people in to destroy the king, thy Lord.
Read.
This thing is not good that thou hast done. As the Lord liveth, thou art worthy to die.
He said, thou art worthy to die. So we're going to get to that in the next chapter. Well, not the next chapter, but it's going to be later on. Watch. Go ahead.
Because thou hast not kept thy master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is.
See, I got his spear. Go ahead.
And his cruse of water that was at his bolster.
And I got his cruse of water that was right there next to him. So you talking about you the best man. But meanwhile, I just went inside, my men just went inside your camp and then took some very important things of Saul to let you know I can take down your defense at any moment. But from wickedness proceed the wicked. I ain't going to do it. I already know the throne is mine to be able to take, and he chose me over y'all. So I'm going to lean back. Y'all go ahead and fail at what y'all doing.
That's right.
So watch this now. Watch this. 1 Samuel chapter 27. Read 8. We're going to read 1 Samuel chapter 27, verse 8, all the way down to 28 and 2. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. 1 Samuel chapter 27 and verse 8. And David and his men went up and invaded the Geshurites and the Gezrites.
And the Gezrites, right?
And the Amalekites.
And the so-called white man. Go ahead.
For those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land.
So they inhabited the land that he went to go and get them at. So now this is when he was actually fighting for Achish. He was fighting for Achish, a war that Achish was battling with those nations right there. So he's helping them out because he had to dwell amongst them for a moment. Because we went through 27 in a previous class, and we brought out the definition of Gath, showing that that belonged to the Philistines. Achish had a battle with these guys, and he gave David Ziklag, right? Okay, so now he's fighting with these nations here the Geshurites, the Gerzites, and the Amalekites. Go ahead.
as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt.
Even to Egypt. Go ahead.
And David smote the land, and left neither man nor woman alive.
So it got everybody. Go ahead.
And took away the sheep,
Read.
and the oxen, and the asses, and the camels, and the apparel, and returned and came to Achish.
Came to Achish, the king of the Philistines. Go ahead.
And Achish said, Whither have ye made a road today? And David said, Against the south of Judah,
Against the south of Judah.
and against the south of the Jerahmeelites,
Jerahmeelites, something like that. Go ahead.
and against the south of the Kenites.
The Kenites. Go ahead.
And David said, neither man nor woman, David saved neither man nor woman alive,
Read.
to bring tidings to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, so did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwelleth in the country of the Philistines.
So they was afraid that what he did to the enemies of the Philistines, right? They was like, well, he gonna do the same thing to us. So David had to deal wisely with that. So make sure, because he had to deal with them while he was running from Saul. So he's like, I have to play this safe, even though I helped them out to show that I can stay here just for a second. I have to play it safe because they just gave us a town that we originally owned, Ziklag. I have to play this safe for a second. Read the next verse.
Right.
And Achish believed.
So he dealt wisely amongst the other nations. That's the message for y'all. Go ahead.
And Achish believed David, saying, he have made his people Israel utterly to abhor him.
Uh-huh.
Therefore he shall be my servant forever.
So he said, therefore he shall be my servant forever. So David, in the midst of him fighting, there was some of us that was inside of that fight. So he made his people to hate him. Achish is confused at the ones who were being David's enemy. Achish was confused at that. So he was like, hey, he's going to be my servant forever. Like, no, David has an ulterior motive. The ones who were brought inside of David's hand was those who the Lord delivered into his hand. That was it. But that don't mean that all of the other people now hate David. No, they wanted David as king. But there was a split and there was a divide inside the nation to where some had to live, some died. And they had other nations that was around us witnessing that turmoil that Saul was causing against David. So they're like, all right, who's going to be the ruling power? Who's going to be the ruling power? Read on.
And it, First Samuel chapter 28, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
And it came to pass in those days
Read.
that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare,
Uh-huh.
to fight with Israel. And Achish said unto David,
Read.
Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men.
Thou and thy men. Read.
And David said to Achish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do.
So he said, I'm about to show you what I can do.
And Achish said to
hey, hold on. That's crazy. That's how you know he black. He said, you going to know what I can do. Watch this. Watch this right here. Go ahead.
And Achish said to David,
Uh-huh.
Therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever.
All right. So now that being said, let's see here. Now, just to speed through, David was ready to show his skills in war and his fight. Now, chapter 29, 30, we had went through previously, right? The Amalekites came to Ziklag, wound up getting raided. He went back to get them. And then in the final chapter, that's when Saul, Jonathan, his men died, right? So that led to the previous breakdown that we had did in the other class. So that being said, now I'm going to give you a map. Give me the map. Give me the map that I had sent. It's on the, all the way over. Right, give me that one. Give me that
You're going to
map.
learn today.
I forget the name of the book. I'm sorry. I think it's up. No, it's not up there. All right, so show it on my screen also. Show it on my screen also. All right, so zoom it in for me a little bit because I know they can see it. I can see it there. Now, you see at the top, it's like Samuel provides temporary shelter, right? It's over there near effect. Move your mouse over to where it's at so they can see it. No, for them, not me. All right, yeah, so Samuel provides temporary shelter to, that's why he did that. Ahimelech provides David with food. That's right next to where Samuel did. So that was Ramah. Then you see Nob over there near Nob. You see where Ahimelech provides David. Very next to that, they had the city of Nob. That's right underneath where the hand is, y'all. Ahimelech provides David with food and arms. A little behind it says, where is that? Slaying of Goliath. It shows you the city of that, right? It shows you that city. David returning, it goes through all of that right there. So all of this was the journey that David had did all along Israel while he was running from Saul and before then also, right? Okay, good. That's all I needed. Give me the next image, Kings and Prophets. Give me the next image, Kings and Prophets.
You're going to learn today.
Now, if y'all remember on the prelude, I had went through a whole list of the characters of this whole show, this whole series, right? So this is a little brief synopsis of some more of that. So we have at the top Saul. That's where we at. So y'all can see where we at in the series. We're still at the top. Three classes later. We had Saul, right? And to give you some rough estimates of time of when that is. Then Samuel was the main prophet at that time. Now we had David. Then we're going to get to Solomon, which leads into the split, and then all of the rest. Okay? And then all of the rest. All right, good. Hey, Keilah. 1 Chronicles chapter 2.
Bring it out.
Book of 1 Chronicles.
And verse 13 to 17. I'm going to read some names. A lot of y'all usually when you read Chronicles, the first portions of that, there's stuff inside of the names. There's stuff inside of the names. Get the photo of Joab ready. That's who it is right there. I'm seeing it on my screen. I just saw him. Get the photo of Joab ready. 1 Chronicles 2:13. Watch this.
1 Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 13.
Come on.
And Jesse begat his firstborn, Eliab, and Abinadab, second, and Shema, the third.
Read.
Nathaniel, the fourth.
Nathaniel, the fourth. Go ahead.
Radai, the fifth. Ozim, the sixth. David, the seventh.
Right, that was the son of Jesse. So David was the seventh, the youngest. Go ahead.
Whose sisters were Zeruiah and Abigail.
So you remember, you're going to hear her name a lot. Oh, sons of Zeruiah. Go ahead.
And the sons of Zeruiah, Abishai. And Joab.
He's a key part. Go ahead.
And Asahel.
So Joab and Asahel are relatives. Well, go ahead. Read on.
3.
Read.
And Abigail bare Amasa.
Read.
And the father of Amasa was Jether the Ishmaelite.
So he was an Arab. So one of them had stepped out and did some interracial stuff there. Backwards. Anyways, and that's Joab. You put the image up? Did you show Joab? All right, yes. So that's one of the characters that we're going to go into in a second. All right, so 1 Chronicles 3, 1-9. Just go through it quick. It's going to be some names.
Bring it out.
1 Chronicles chapter 3, verse 1.
So we had read these names previously, and we had showed images of each one of them before. Watch, go ahead.
Now these were the sons of David, which were born to him in Hebron. The firstborn Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess. The second Daniel.
So now that Daniel is Chileab. So that was Chileab, one of the guys that we had showed previously. That was Chileab. Go ahead.
Of Abigail the Carmelitess. The third Absalom, the son of Micaiah. Micah, the daughter of Talmi, king of Geshur.
Read.
The fourth Adonijah, the son of Haggith.
Read.
The fifth Shephatiah of Abitai.
Yeah, I'm bearing with you because the names are something else. But go ahead.
The sixth Ithream by Eglah his wife.
Read.
Because
it's giving you the sons with the wife that he had those sons with. Go ahead.
These 6 were born unto him in Hebron.
Read.
And there he reigned 7 years and 6 months. And in Jerusalem he reigned 33 years.
He reigned 33 years. Go ahead.
And these were born unto him in Jerusalem.
Read.
Shemiah and Shobab and Nathan and Solomon 4 and Bathshua,
which is also Bathsheba.
Of Bathshua. Sorry.
Of Bathshua, which is also Bathsheba. Go ahead.
The daughter of Amiel.
Read.
Abihar also, and Elishama, and Eliphet, and Noga, and Nepheg, and Japhiah, and Elishama, and Eliadah, and
Eliphalet 9. Hold on. These were all the sons of David, besides the sons of the concubines and Tamar, his sister, which we will get to in a second. All right, so the images of the sons, can you pull those up? I want those one more time. Put up there. All right, so right there, we're looking at, that's Absalom. Give me the next one. Give me Adonijah. I'm seeing it on my screen, so as long as you follow that, I'll just do it. That's Absalom. Then now you got Adonijah, right? Then you got, who's that? Chileab. Go down to Chileab. Yep. You got Chileab right there. You got Ithream. Go to Ithream, right? You got Shephatiah. It's good to have these images in your head when we're reading through this because you need to see that these are black people that's doing this. It's not white folks. Abner is he's not one of the sons. I'm sorry. Don't pull him up. So we had them. Then we had what was that? Amnon. Who's that? I can't see it on my screen. I can't read the name. Anyways, all right. So let's go back. I can't read the name on that. It looked difficult to read. So go to 1 Chronicles chapter 10, verse 9. So now we're starting to bounce from Samuel to Chronicles now. That's where we at. 1 Chronicles 10, verse 9. Come on.
The book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 10 and verse 9.
So this is right here a somewhat of a recap of what happened at the very tail end of 1 Samuel. It's just going to say it very briefly here. Read verse 9.
And when they had stripped him, they took his head and his armor, and sent into the land of the Philistines round about,
right,
to carry tidings unto their idols and to the people. And they put his armor in the house of their gods,
right,
and fastened his head in the temple of Dagon.
Right. So now give me Mount Gilboa. It's on the, I believe, the PowerPoint. Give me Mount Gilboa. Because in verse 8, that's where he fell at. In Mount Gilboa. Right. Pull that up. Pull that up right there. He was in Mount Gilboa is where he fell. And then put it picture in picture. And then right after this, get the photo of the oak when it was all underneath the tree ready. Right? Give me that. All right, so he fell at Mount Gilboa. That was a war that they had. Go ahead.
And when all Jabesh Gilead had heard all that the Philistines had done unto Saul,
read,
they arose, all the valiant men, and took away the body of Saul,
right,
and the bodies of his sons,
right,
and brought them to Jabesh, and buried their bones under the oak in Jabesh.
Yeah, give me that. There we go. So they had buried the bones underneath the oak. Go ahead.
And fasted 7 days.
And they fasted 7 days. Go ahead.
So Saul died for his transgression, which he committed against the Lord.
1 Samuel 15:23. Go ahead.
Even against the word of the Lord, which he kept not, and also for asking counsel of one that had a familiar spirit to inquire of it.
1 Samuel 28:7. Go ahead.
And inquired not of the Lord. Therefore he slew him and turned the kingdom unto David, the son of Jesse.
The reign of David. So, boom, there we go. Now, Abner the son. Give me Abner. Give me that image. Believe it or not, we almost done. Give me that son, Abner. All right, Abner. AI can't make the same image twice. Just so bear with me with the faces. I'm just making sure I put the imagery in your head. Okay. So that's Abner, right? Now give me the next photo. That's Ishbosheth. That's Ishbosheth. So go back to the Abner again. One more. So that's Abner. This is important. That's Abner. Next one. And that's Ishbosheth. All right. What we're going to read from this point and forward, and probably into the next class, really, is going to be about these two. That's Abner. Go back to Abner. There's Abner, and then again, that's Ishbosheth, the son of Saul. After they died and killed a lot of them, Ishbosheth still stayed. He was still alive. Okay? Give me the next photo, one more. There's one more on there. All right, and that's him and his armies with Benjamin. Okay? Abner, or Ishbosheth per se, I'm sorry, that's Ishbosheth with his armies, right? But Abner was the captain that led the charge after Saul died, with Ishbosheth being king per se, right? So, now I want you to jump out of that. I have a reading within History of the Jews. That's about the tribe of Benjamin. So it's going to be, let me see, click that one. What'd that say? Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. At the very bottom, it says Abner the cousin. No, that was it, yeah. Abner the cousin of Saul. You was at it. That was the right one. Abner the cousin of Saul. Bring that back up. Now he needs to read it. The people need to see it. The people need to see it. All right, there we go. At the very bottom, Pelagia.
Abner, the cousin of Saul, was of an entirely different disposition.
He was an entirely different person. Don't go yet. He was an entirely different person. Go ahead.
He was.
All right, now next. Go ahead.
He was a warrior of Yeah, you got to make it bigger for me.
Yep.
He was a warrior of unbending firmness.
Unbending firmness. He was a different guy altogether. That's why when I was bringing out earlier, he was one of the strongest, mighty guys that was for Saul at the time. Go ahead.
And possessed a considerable degree of artfulness.
Talking about how he used to fight. I'm telling you, anyways, we got to make a movie about this stuff. Go ahead.
To the experienced king and the people he too rendered important service in their distress.
Give me the next photo. There's only one more. All right, so start from where it says the Benjamites all the way to the end of the parentheses. Go ahead.
The Benjamites were very skillful in the use of the sling.
So now the Benjamites were the one that followed after Saul, which once he died became Abner and Ishbosheth. Go ahead.
And Jonathan and his sword bearer advanced further and continued hurling masses of rock at the Philistines.
Right, go ahead.
Terror-stricken by this sudden attack from a side where approach had seemed impossible, they could only imagine themselves attacked by supernatural beings.
You're talking about Benjamin. Right? They're being attacked by called supernatural beings. Go ahead.
And seized with fear, they fought each other or broke the ranks in the wildest confusion.
In the wildest confusion, because the Philistines were getting beat to hell by what they called supernatural beings. Woo! All right now. So, that being said, go to 2 Samuel chapter 2, and let's start at verse 8.
Bring it out.
And this is where we're gonna close out with this chapter here.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 2, and verse 8. In verse 8. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim.
Mahanaim, yep. So now I'm going to bring pictures of these the next time. I couldn't get them in time, but I'm going to bring pictures of these the next time. So go ahead.
And made him king over Gilead.
So look. Watch this. Listen. It probably went over your head. Read verse 8 again going into 9.
But Abner, the son of Ner,
this is Benjamin, right? This is Benjamin. Read.
Captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth,
the son of Saul, right? Go ahead.
The son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim.
Mahanaim, right? Okay. The very first line of the next verse. Go ahead.
And made him king over Gilead.
Pause. So the reason why that's important, this right here, if it was successful, would have been the split. This would have been the split, but it didn't happen. It was not going to happen right here. It happened later on with Rehoboam. This would have been a split in the kingdom because they tried to make him king, and everybody else was following David. Go ahead. This was ignorant folks, but go ahead.
And over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel.
So you see, that's why I said that, because they had other times where you see they try to have a uprising to become a split, but to make somebody a king. But this right here, you see us naming tribes. They was like, oh, he's king over these portions right here. Whereas it would have been like David was over another portion. This would have been a split. The first one. This would have been a split. Go ahead.
Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David.
The house of Judah? They was like, nah, we ain't doing this. We're going to follow David. Go ahead.
And the time
Judah loyal. Even when Rehoboam went off, they say, he ignorant as hell. He a fool, but he Judah. So I guess I'll just go ahead. Hey, Judah, y'all, I'll tell you. But anyway, go ahead.
And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah,
right,
was 7 years and 6 months.
7 years and 6 months. Go ahead.
And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon.
Gibeon. Go ahead.
And Joab, the son of Zeruiah.
So now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, right? Joab, that mighty man. Go ahead.
And the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, one on one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool.
So now, I sent y'all some photos. What I need y'all to do is, there's one of them where it looks like two guys are facing each other. It looked like, I just sent some. So these just came in. My AI guy, he had sent them in. Shout out to Officer Horrell. It looks like there's two guys facing each other, one on one side, one at the other side. Look like with swords in their hand and whatnot. Can you pull those up? Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Praises.
So now they met each other at the pool of Gibeon. Now it was a better scenery than that, but AI can do what it can, right? So there was a pool that was there to where it was a meeting place within a notable city. They met there to talk about things. They was like, let's get this solved out. Almost like how you see politicians come to meet one another before they about to fight a war. They was like, let's solve this out to see if we can avoid war. So the men of David came up, the men of Saul came up, right? Okay, good. It's the same thing like when we read in 1 Kings 12 about the split, how they warred each other. The same thing was happening here, except the Lord was actually with David, so the kingdom can be underneath one rule. So that's why it succeeded during this time. Watch, come on.
And Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us.
Go ahead. So send the young men away. Let's talk as grown men. Go ahead.
And Joab said, let them arise.
Go ahead.
And there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David.
So now they had a 12, and then they had a 12, both on two sides, right? Go ahead. About to face off one against another. Go ahead. So they was talking at first, but go ahead.
And they caught every one of his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword into his fellow's side.
So then things went south, and now they about to start fighting. Give me some more of them photos. Some more of them photos. So now they about to start fighting with David having the upper hand. Go ahead.
So they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called
Helkath Hazurim.
Helkath Hazurim.
Go ahead.
Which is in Gibeon.
Which is in Gibeon. Go ahead.
And there was a very sore battle that day.
So that's what we're seeing. There was a very sore battle that day. They went in battle array fighting brother against brother. Go ahead.
And Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. And there were three sons of Zeruiah there.
Which was what we read in First Chronicles. Go ahead.
Joab
one.
And Abishai.
Abishai another.
And Asahel.
And Asahel. Go ahead.
And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe.
So he was about as fast as a full-grown deer. Go ahead.
And Asahel.
So again, like I said, supernatural beings. Go ahead.
And Asahel pursued after Abner. And in going, he turned not to the right hand nor to the left.
So he followed after Abner, which what they called a man of a different disposition. They were supernatural, but Abner, he was on another level. Go ahead.
All praises. From following Abner.
He said all praises. Abner, all right.
Then
Abner was actually wicked, by the way, but go ahead.
Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? And he said, I am. And Abner said to him.
So he's talking about that because that's his brother. That's his brother, right? Hey, put me picture in picture. They can still look at the photos, but picture in picture. He said that's his brother that he was about to fight, right? Go ahead.
Turn thee aside to the right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men.
And lay thee hold on one of the young men. Go ahead.
And take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following of him.
Right.
And Abner said again to Asahel, turn thee aside from following me.
Stop following me, bro. I'm telling you, stop following me. Go ahead.
Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground?
So why should I have to kill you? Turn, go away, go back to your brothers, go back to your men. Go, and Asahel was like, nah, you off. I'm about to get you. Go ahead.
Right. How then should I hold up my face to Joab, thy brother?
So how should I hold up my face to Joab? Why should I have to kill my own